Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have for you a bit of a different favorites video. I feel like I haven't done a favorites video in so long, but this is going to be a 2018 favorites, but with a little bit of a twist, because I'm actually going to be using most of the products, all of the makeup products. I'm just going to talk about a few other kind of skincare bits at the end of the video as well, if in case you want to stay tuned for that. But I'm going to be using all my favorite makeup products and recreating this makeup look that I have on right now. It's a really beautiful, warm, sort of coppery eye with my classic nudish pinkish lip, and I'm going to be telling you all about my favorite lipsticks, foundation, eye products, eyeshadows, everything that I have truly been loving throughout the year 2018. Most of them are new discoveries. Some I would say I had been using them for a few years before, but they've been like a real standout throughout this year. So without further ado, there's a lot to get through, so I don't want to ramble on anymore. I do hope you enjoy this video, but before that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. I upload a new video every week and I would love to have you back on the channel, and also don't forget to check me out on Instagram for more beauty and fashion posts. Okay, so for favorite number one, which is a little bit of skincare, I am going to talk about more skincare later on, but I thought I would do this in the order I'm going to apply my makeup. So the first one is the Armani Prima. I have been loving this moisturizer to use under makeup for a really long time actually. It doesn't have any SPF, which is my only gripe, but you can put a light SPF if you want to wear it during the day. But because it has no SPF, it's absolutely perfect to wear if you're going to be wearing foundation in the evening. It is specially designed to wear under foundation, and this was, I think, a favorite already last year. Although I do love the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream as well, but this one just is a little bit less oily. It just gives my skin the nicest glow. It leaves it really moisturized, but at the same time it doesn't kind of leave it greasy, and my makeup, I find, just doesn't go patchy or blotchy, which sometimes it does around here if I don't use this moisturizer. And also it's really nice and sinks in super quickly. It has like a gel sort of creamy texture. It's a bit weird. It's not a cream and it's not a gel, but it's really nice, absorbs super quickly. And I just find that it actually does make my makeup last longer. It is a little bit hard. I find that they do run out of stock of it in a lot of places really quickly. But when you can get your hands on it, it is absolutely amazing. And I've been loving this one, I think, for 2 years now, but I've kind of switched between this one and the Magic Cream, but I think this one is definitely my firm favorite for 2018. For eye cream during the day, I'm still loving the Eye Duty Triple Remedy. I use the Fair Medium. It's not super hydrating, but I don't really have like very dry under eye darkness. I also have this bit around here, which is a bit dry, so I apply some there, and it is amazing because it has this like salmon color, and I find that it is just so brightening. It makes a huge difference when I don't wear it, and I also love it when I'm having like a makeup free day and I just, you know, want to put a bit of moisturizer on, and I want an eye cream that's just gonna just brighten, because I have this area so dark. I think if I was gonna wear it without makeup most of the time, I'd probably go for the medium dark color, but because I wear it with makeup, I love this one, which is like super brightening. And I have a little bit of pigmentation around my lip area, and I also pop on some there because I find that it really helps with the pigmentation. Moving now on to primer. My absolute favorite for 2018 has been the Brightening Youth Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you will know that I am really, well, at least I wasn't really a primer kind of girl. I just usually found that primers were just an additional layer of makeup and they didn't really do much for my skin. But since I found this one, I am head over heels in love with it, and I even wear it on like makeup free days just to get a bit of a glow. I don't know how well the camera is picking this up, but it just gives your skin the most beautiful glow. It's meant to even out your complexion, and I really think it does a little bit. even out kind of my skin tone. I find that when I just apply it doesn't make a huge difference, but if I let it sit for a few minutes, it definitely makes my skin look more even. It just gives a beautiful glow, makes my skin look more plump, more hydrated. It doesn't feel silicone-y, it just blends in really nicely like a really thin cream, and it just makes your skin feel really velvety. And I do find that makeup just goes on like a dream over it, and it just makes it last that little bit longer. So I definitely love this one. It doesn't dry out my skin at all, and it minimizes my pores a little bit, and I really have kind of open pores around this area. So all in all, it's amazing. And even for more mature skin, my mum uses this as well. She really loves it because it just kind of, you know, fades wrinkles, and it just makes your skin look really beautiful and glowy. For foundation, the star of the show for 2018 for me has been this Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation. As you can see, it's well loved because even the lid is broken. But this one's amazing. I use the shade 280, and it's really nice because it has like it's good for people with yellow undertones like me, but it does have that subtle hint of peachiness, which I find kind of counteracts my really, really yellow and sallow skin tone. So I absolutely love this one, but I have to say, I do have a favorite from previous years, was I still really love, and that's the Hydra Life BB Cream from Dior. When I'm using foundation, I usually mix these two together, and I find that it just gives me a little bit more glow than this foundation, because this one's really matte. This one is still oil free, so it doesn't make my skin oily, but it just gives like a little hint of glow. This one also has SPF, which if I'm being lazy and I haven't worn SPF, I really like to wear this one if I'm wear it during the day. But it also doesn't have that much SPF that if you wear it in the evening, you're going to get flashbacks. So I also find that by mixing these two together, my foundation actually lasts longer. I don't know what it is about this BB cream, but it just makes my foundation last and kind of stick to my skin. And if I'm having like a very light makeup day, I'll probably just wear the base primer that I wore just now and just a little bit of this BB cream. And I use the color, I think it's number 3. In this BB cream. Unfortunately, that's the darkest color they have, I think. So not a great shade range, but if it happens to suit you, I would definitely recommend this one. Another real favorite has been the MAC Strobe Cream. I usually mix this in with either my BB cream or my foundation or both. And I just really like the glow it gives you. I use the color Gold Light, and I just find it gives my skin a little bit of a glow because my foundation and the BB cream are both matte. It's just really nice to get that extra little bit of glow using the MAC Strobe Cream, and it's really light. It doesn't make my skin look kind of oily or overly glowy. It just gives it a subtle hint so that it looks a little bit more moisturized. And this color is just the perfect match to my skin. I don't usually get very tanned during the summer just because I don't really like to sunbathe a lot, just because I am prone to pigmentation, so I'm always worried that it's gonna get worse. So I find that this combination sort of works for me all year round. And I like to just do a very light layer using this brush, which again is a real favorite. It's the Zoeva buffer brush, and I really love this one. It's really well loved. And then what I do is I kind of stipple a little bit in the areas where I need a little bit more coverage, which is usually around my cheeks if I have any breakouts, or my under eyes. And then with whatever's left, I just kind of dab it across my face. Moving now into under eyes, which is probably my biggest area of concern on my face. I have really been loving the YSL Touche Éclat Corrector in the color, I think it's peach or apricot. This is basically like a neutralizer. It's got this like peachy color, and basically what it does is it counteracts the darkness that I have a little bit on my eyelids, mostly underneath my eyes. But you can use it on any other areas that you have pigmentation on. And I really like this one because the applicator is just so amazing. The perfect amount of product comes out. You can really control how much you want to put because, you know, it's kind of one of those click pens. And I find those are the easier to control. And I love the fact that it has the little applicator because if you're on the go, you can just apply it really easily. For concealer, the real discovery of this year has been the Magic Away concealer from Charlotte Tilbury. This one has this sort of applicator. Sorry, mine's really grubby because it's really well loved. This one I think is the third one I'm on, but it has this like tip, which is a bit of a domey tip. It's very similar, and then it kind of, you twist it and that's how the product comes out. It's very similar in terms of the applicator to the Maybelline Eraser Eye, but this one has a little bit more of a point to it, which I find is a little bit nicer when you want to get into this area in the under eyes. By the way, guys, I use the shade 6. I think I could probably get away with a shade 5, but the 6 is like a really good match as well. If I wanted to go a bit brighter, I could probably do with a 5. So as you guys know, I was a real kind of concealer junkie. I used to pack on like 3 or 4 concealers. And a lot of you were like, why are you putting on so much? And I never felt that my under eye area looked cakey because I really, really blended them out. But, you know, I did want to use a bit less product, but I just hadn't found the right thing. But now with this neutralizer and this concealer from Charlotte Tilbury, I do pop on a little bit of another one that I am going to talk about very shortly, because those two would be my favorite concealers. But I find with this one, when I'm having like a light makeup look, it's usually enough, because as you can see, the coverage is amazing, guys. I've never had a concealer like this one. It's a really thin textured concealer because it's kind of really liquidy, but at the same time, the coverage is absolutely insane. But then it blends out into nothing. It just kind of looks like your skin. You really can't tell that you're wearing any concealer. It is also super hydrating. So for those of you who have dry skin tones or for more mature skin tones, it is absolutely amazing. You can blend it in with fingers, or you can use a beauty blender like I'm doing now, and it looks amazing with both. With fingers, it just gives you a little bit of extra coverage, but it just blends in like a dream. And what I use this one for is, like, I use this one under my eyes, I use it to highlight or any blemishes, because I just find that my under eye area looks so bright but also so not heavy, which is really, really nice. And I also use it like where I have any bit of pigmentation and I don't want people to kind of realize that I have product on there. So yeah, and it's also really kind of stretchy. It is described as like a silicone-y stretchy concealer, and it absolutely is. It kind of just like smooths your skin and sort of lifts it. I know it has skincare properties as well, so it is absolutely amazing. I mean, you guys know I absolutely love Charlotte Tilbury products, but for me, this concealer has been a real discovery. What I usually do, because I couldn't make up my mind with concealers, I do like to have one that's a bit more heavy duty, and I still love the Tarte Shape Tape, which I discovered this year as well. It's amazing. The applicator is a bit thick, but it's okay. And what I do with this is I kind of use it if I have like any kind of darker blemishes that haven't been covered with the concealer from Charlotte Tilbury. And also just here where I have a lot of darkness, just this one line that goes down, what I do is after I've blended the other one out, I just pop a little bit of this one on, just in that area. And again, this concealer blends in really nicely. It's even better than the Clé de Peau, I think, because it's a bit lighter, but it just has so much coverage, even though it blends into sort of nothing. And then I use it for like any blemishes that, you know, haven't been covered with my other concealer. And together, these two, for like if you're doing a proper full face of makeup, I find they're just the sort of perfect combination. And then to like, you know, not reduce the coverage, what I do is I just like pack this one on with fingers to blend it in. Moving on to concealer, another Charlotte Tilbury favorite, my contour wand in dark medium. They do have a medium light. You guys know I love to layer my contour and do a cream contour first and then a liquid contour, because I feel like it just adds more depth, more intensity, lasts longer. But this one is absolutely my favorite cream contour. I found it so natural. It has this like sponge tip applicator, which I find is really nice. You just twist this and then you press it out, and you just need the tiniest amount of product. You just apply a little bit on the areas where you want to apply it. I usually do like the usual, a little bit down my nose. And I find that you can, like, if you don't put too much product and you put it on its side, you can easily contour your nose, put a little bit on my forehead, and then you can spread it out a little bit using that sponge tip. and I just find it looks very intense, but it blends really, really well. It's really liquid. It has the perfect mix of a warm and a cool tone, which means it sort of gives you that contour and it looks like a shadow, but you don't look dirty either. If I'm having like a light makeup day, I might just apply just this and a little bit of bronzer over the top, like a powder one, just to set it in. And I wouldn't bother with my contour. But if I'm going for like a full face of makeup, I definitely will. And then I love this Hollywood complexion brush to just mix it. I like the little one to do like the small bits, like my nose, and then the other one to do the rest of my face. And it's just amazing. And then I go in with my beauty blender just to finish blending it out. And I just find it just gives me the perfect, most natural shadow. Lasts all day long. It never ever ever sort of goes patchy or cakey, which I found with my LA concealer when I was using that as a contour, it sometimes did. But this one is just so nice, so lovely, and I think it's going to take a lot for me to switch to another cream contour, because I absolutely love this one. Moving now into setting powders, I have a few because I use a few. So the first one is my Laura Mercier Secret Under Eye Powder, which is super, super brightening. And I still love this one. It is so finely milled. I tried the Becca one and it was nice, but I just found that it was too thin. And the Laura Mercier was just kind of easier to use if you wanted to bake a little bit. And I use this one to really brighten some areas up. So I love it underneath my eyes, especially in this front bit, which is the bit that's darkest. And I just pack it on with a beauty blender. And then I use it on like the high points of my face. And this really, really sets the makeup. It's very finely milled. It doesn't look cakey. And I really like it because it just brightens a lot. But I do find that sometimes it can give you a little bit of flashback. So what I like to do is I mix it in with my Huda Beauty one. This one is Banana Bread, which is a much more yellowish color. I don't know how well you can see it there on the camera. But this one is a sort of yellowish setting powder. It is for baking, so it's very finely milled, but you can still pack it on. And what I do is I apply this one under my eyes, but just, you know, where there's not that much darkness, just so that there's not any flashback when I do pictures, because this one gives you absolutely no flashback. I also use this one to set like any areas like my forehead, which gets quite oily, but I don't necessarily want the whole of it to be really bright, or my chin, and also around here, around my nose, and just here where I've concealed, because I have a little bit of pigmentation. This sort of brightens it, but without making like super glowy. I also forgot, with the Laura Mercier, I like to put on a little bit just underneath my contour, just on the border over there, to just highlight my contour a little bit more. And then what I do is I just go in with like a clean brush and I just dust it all off. Don't let my powder sit on too much, because otherwise I find that it just looks a bit cakey. But this is just the perfect amount. And then finally, for setting powders, I'm still loving my Chanel loose powder. I love the fact that this one is like humongous and it just lasts forever. I have it in the color 40 Doré, which is a little bit darker than my skin, and I use this because just to set the areas where I've put a little bit of contour. When I'm going for like a full makeup, I find that this just really sets those areas and just makes it never go patchy or flaky or anything. And I just put a very light dusting. Moving on to eyes, I'm back to an old favorite. I rediscovered this product in 2018 and I absolutely love it, and I think it's my all-time favorite actually. It's the Backstage Eye Primer by Dior. It's like a paint pot from MAC, similar. I use this as a primer and just apply it with fingers all over my lid, and I just find that my eyeshadow doesn't change color at all. Just looks more intense and vibrant. This sort of covers any veininess or blueness in my eyes, just makes my eyelid really even, and it just makes my eyeshadow last so much. I did use the Nars one for a while, but I found that it just kind of curled up into like little bits, and it just, I don't know, it was just very strange on my eyelids. It didn't work very well, but I absolutely love this one by Dior. I'm gonna apply my stickies because we're doing a smoky eye. You guys know that these are an all-time favorite, basically, to just serve as a guideline One thing from 2018 that I've learned is just to make them a little bit more horizontal, because it just elongates my eye outwards and it looks much better. And then for eyeshadow, guys, I have so much to tell you. I couldn't narrow it down to one. I just couldn't. One of my favorite palettes has been this Sigma Warm Neutrals Volume 2, and so many of you asked me for a tutorial on this one, so this is kind of a tutorial and a favorites all together. I'm going to show you here. It just has this beautiful large mirror, and my favorite shades, as you can see, are the well-loved ones. I love Fool's Gold, which is like a greenish color with like some gold flecks running through it. Then I love Bittersweet. I think that's probably my favorite shade. It's a bronzy, sort of rusty color, but it's not too warm, because too warm colors don't suit me. And then I also love Toasty, which is like a medium warm brown. I'm going to use Toasty today on my socket line, just to sort of define my socket a little bit. And I absolutely love this one as a transition shade. This palette is amazing. All the eyeshadows are really beautiful. The glitter ones don't really have glitter fallout, which is something, one of my pet peeves with a lot of glitter eyeshadows, because I just find that you end up with glitter absolutely everywhere. So I like the fact that this one doesn't have too much fallout. The pigmentation is great. They're not so pigmented that, you know, if you just go a little bit overboard, you're going to look crazy. But they do have, you know, quite a lot of pigmentation at the same time. The best thing is they don't have a lot of fallout, like I said. The colors are really gorgeous and they blend in so nicely. They're very finely milled. And they're just so easy to blend. As you can see, I'm not really making any effort here. And they're just blending beautifully. I'm just going to use this, because my eyes are a little hooded, I'm just taking it a little bit above my socket, and just, you know, so that you can actually see it when my eyes are open. And this is just the most beautiful transition shade. Another real favorite has been this Cork Eyeshadow by MAC. I had sort of fallen out of love with MAC eyeshadows. I thought they were just not that easy to blend, and I do find them harder to blend than, let's say, a Charlotte Tilbury or the Warm Neutrals palette I just used from Sigma. But this color is just so beautiful. It's like a medium cool toned brown, and I just find it's amazing to add some depth to my crease. I'm just using it a little bit below with the same fluffy brush, just a little bit below where I used the other one, so just more on my socket, just to give a little more depth to that area. And then a real standout of this year, which is something I got quite recently actually, but I have been using it non-stop, is the Pillow Talk palette from Charlotte Tilbury. It is so gorgeous. I showed you guys in a vlog when I got it, but it's just so beautiful. It has this sort of pinky shade, which I use a bit less because pinks just don't work so well on my skin, but then it has this one which is like a medium brownish pink shade, which is gorgeous. I love the glitter shade, which is like a rose gold. And then this one is very similar to the highlight shade from the Dolce Vita palette from Charlotte Tilbury as well, and I love it. It's like a pinkish goldish color, which is the perfect highlight. I'm going to use this medium shade here, which is like the smoke shade, I think. And I'm just going to take a smaller fluffy brush, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that onto the actual socket to just add a bit more depth, just to create a line there. I don't really have a lot of depth here, so I just like to create more of a shadow, and I'm just concentrating it on the outer third. And as you can see, it's just a beautiful sort of pinkish warmish color, but just so nice and so flattering. Like I said, because I have more like an olive skin tone, I usually find that these sort of warmer shades don't really flatter me that much, but with this palette it's just so universally flattering. And Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows are the best, you guys know I love them. They blend so well, they have no fallout, and they're just so gorgeous. I'm then going to take a flat shadow brush, and I'm going to go in with Bittersweet from Sigma. I've tried to mix in both of them because I couldn't make up a mind about which one was my favorite. Just going to pop this one onto the actual lid, and this one has just added the perfect sort of rusty pearlescent finish. As you can see, hardly any fallout, and they just last so well throughout the day. And then I'm going to go in and use the glitter rose gold shade on the Charlotte Tilbury one and just add it to the center of my lid. You can do this with fingers, but I just prefer to do it with a brush. I find it a bit less messy, but you do need to go in a few more times. With a finger it's a bit more easy, and that's just added the perfect amount of glitter. And I'm also going to pop a little bit of this glitter just in the inner corner of my eye, and then I'm going to take this highlight shade and just use this to highlight underneath my brow bone, and again a little bit in the inner corner to lighten it. And now for my lower lash line, I'm going to go in with this smoke shade again from the Pillow Talk palette, and I find this is the perfect shade for my bottom lash line because it's not too dark, but at the same time it has enough intensity to give me a little bit of a shadow. And then over it, I'm just going to slide a little bit of this bitter sweet shade. To finish off, I'm going to take this pencil brush, which I'm still loving, from Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm going to take the MAC Cork Shadow and just use this one to line my bottom lash line. For eyeliner, nothing has really changed. I'm still loving my Estee Lauder gel liner. This one is pretty dry right now. And then I love my Maybelline. They don't have the Master Precise here, at least I can't find it. So I've got the Hyper Precise All Day, and it's very, very similar, and it's very similar to the Master Precise. So I still combine these two, and I'm going to go ahead and do a very thin liner. So after creating a sort of guideline using my gel liner, I like to go in with my liquid liner to intensify the line. So for eye pencil, I've gone back to my Estee Lauder, Double Wear in black, and I love this one just to tight line my upper lash line. I've tried many others, and then I always go back to this one. So I think I've decided again, this is probably an all-time favorite. I love the fact that it's really long-lasting, it doesn't budge, it doesn't smudge, and it's just easy. And then for my inner waterline, my favorite this year has been the Urban Decay 24/7 in Scorch. It's like a bronze color, and I just find it suits me so much. It looks like it's almost nude, my lower lash line, and I'm liking my eyes a lot more open and with a lot less intensity in my lower lash line. But it just gives me that little something, because if I leave it completely bare, my eyes look a little bit more hooded than they actually are, because they look more like downwards. I don't know, it's just a weird effect. So this one is nice. It looks nude, but it just gives it a bit of brightness, and because it has like a little bit of a gold glimmer running through it, it just sort of adds that pop and vibrance to my eyes. As you can see, it almost blends in with my eyeshadow, so it's really nice because it just looks like an extension. And the Urban Decay pencils are just really beautiful and buttery and just very easy to glide on. I wouldn't recommend it for upper lash line though, because they do smudge quite easily, but I really like the fact that it's very easy to glide on and very soft for the waterline. For bronzer, nothing has changed, guys. I'm still using my grimy one from Anastasia Beverly Hills, the color Havana. I love it. It's a matte bronzer. It just looks really natural, and so many of you asked me about my bronzer, and this one just works so well. I apply a little bit over the apples of my cheeks and towards the back, and then a little bit around my forehead, my nose, my chin, and I've started adding a little bit around my jawline as well and taking it down to my neck. And then for contour, my favorite is still the Rodial contour powder. I just love the kind of cool shadow it creates. It's so finely milled that it just blends into the skin. It doesn't like make you look muddy or dirty. It doesn't have too much pigmentation, but it's still pigmented, and I just love it. And I use this one just over the areas where I applied my cream contour, just to create a bit more of an intense shadow. I'm also going to apply a little bit of this to my jawline, and I just find that this just gives me a little bit more depth, a really nice shadow, but because it doesn't have too much pigment, it doesn't make me look dirty, even though it is quite cool toned. I'm also going to use this to contour my nose a little bit. Just go over the cream contour with a fluffy brush. And then for blush, undoubtedly my favourite blush of the year has been Nars Orgasm. It's a beautiful peachy pink. I feel it goes so well when you're tanned, but also if you have like an olive skin tone. It's actually universally flattering. Just gonna add a touch more with a fluffy brush just to blend it out. I love that it has like a little bit of a golden undertone to it, which means it just gives you this beautiful glow without looking glittery. It's very finely melted, it blends in really well. It is quite pigmented, but again, not too much. And it just gives you a beautiful peachy glow, and it's a mix between pink and peach, but it just has that really nice mix, which is not too orange, but also not too pink. I find it very long lasting, it doesn't budge, and it doesn't go kind of patchy during the day, which I really like. Then for highlights, for a real discovery this year has been the Hollywood Beauty one, the highlighting one, and it's a beautiful golden highlight, and it's a cream highlight, as you can see, again, very grubby, but it's just so gorgeous, and I just apply it to the high points of my face, so the cheekbones, bridge of my nose, Cupid's bow, chin, a little bit above my brows. And I apply it over powder because otherwise I find that with so much powder, it just kind of gets lost. But it just blends in so nicely even on top of the powder, and it just adds like a really natural but at the same time very glowy finish to my skin, like lit from within. It doesn't look glittery, but it just looks like glowy basically. And I love to layer it with powder, but also if I'm doing like a very quick makeup, I might just add just a little bit of this, just because I put on quite a lot of powder. This just adds a little bit of radiance and glow to my skin, and it just makes it look kind of beautiful and healthy and a little bit more natural. Even though because I have kind of oily skin, the powder does eventually like melt and my skin doesn't look cakey, but I just find that this just gives me the most perfect glow. And then for powder highlight, undoubtedly my favorite is still the Becca Camping Pop. I just got a new one because I love it so much that I run out of mine. It was completely empty. I'd used till the last grain, but I just love it so much, and I love to layer this over the Charlotte Tilbury highlight I just applied, and it just gives you the most beautiful golden glow. Again, this is super finely milled, gives you a really beautiful glow, again like lit from within. It's quite golden, but I find it would be like, it would work on most skin types, and I just love it. And I really like this brush from, I think it's from Smashbox, to apply the highlighter. It's kind of a small fan brush, which I feel are quite hard to come by. Don't know how well the camera is picking that up, but as you can see, it just gives the most popping highlight. I love it. My brows I've just filled off camera just in the interest of time, but I don't really have a favorite. Like, I kind of switch between whatever pencil is suiting me at the time, but I don't really have like a firm favorite. But what I did discover this year was the Fiber Brow Gel by Tom Ford, and this is a really nice setting gel, but it has a little bit of a tint to it. I'm wearing it right now, and I just find like if I'm having a really light makeup day, I'll just pop a little bit and it'll just be enough. And if I'm having a full-on makeup, then over my pencil, I find that it sets my brows, and it also just makes them look a little bit fuller because my brows are a little sparse. So this one has been a real discovery. And for mascara, my favorite this year has been the Better Than Sex Mascara by Urban Decay. I just love the applicator. It's kind of a very thick bristle brush with traditional bristles. I find that it just coats the lashes so well. It is really volumizing, really lengthening, but at the same time, my eyelashes don't sort of get clumpy, which I really like. And then finally for lipsticks, my favorite lip liner is actually unfortunately one that I think is discontinued right now, but I really hope they bring it back. It's the Estee Lauder, the Victoria collaboration they did with Victoria Beckham, and it's the color Victoria, and I just love it. It's the most kind of perfect nudie, cool toned brown. I find a lot of like nudes just kind of blend into my skin. This one is dark enough that it actually pops, but it's not so dark that it doesn't look nude, which I find is a problem with a lot of lip liners. By the way guys, all the products I mentioned will be linked down in the info box below. And then for lipsticks, I have quite a few to mention. The first one is a recent discovery by a brand I'd actually never used before. It's this Bite one, and this is in the color Glacé, and it's like a really beautiful nudie, mauvey, sort of beigey color. I'm going to use that one now. I love the fact that it comes in this sort of bullet because it's just so nice and easy to apply. And if you don't want to use a lip liner, it's so easy to just line your lips. So I like it for when you're in a rush or you're out and about. And it's really nice and matte, but at the same time it's not drying. But I also really love this lipstick, which is the one that Gigi Hadid did with Maybelline in the color Tora. It's a very beigey, sort of cool toned brown, and I just love it. I love it layered over other lipsticks to just make them a bit lighter, but I also love it on its own. It's just a really beautiful shade. I'm just gonna swatch it here for you guys, for you to see. I'm just gonna pop a little bit of that over my lipstick just to lighten it a little bit. And then one that I also had to mention was the Dior Lip Glow. I have it in the color Coral, and it's just perfect. It's like a lip balm. It just gives you like a beautiful sheen to your lips, and I just love it for like makeup free days, or just to use as a lip balm, but just to get a little bit of a sheen. And then for lip glosses, my two favorites this year has been the Nars Orgasm lip gloss, which is a beautiful peachy pink with golden glimmer running through it, and I love this one, and it's not sticky at all. And also the Fenty Beauty lip gloss in the color Gloss Bomb, and this is like more of a brownie sort of color. I think I'm going to go for this one today, but I absolutely love this. They're both very volumizing. I've got a bit of a shimmer running through them, but they're not sticky. Bit of a golden undertone, and again, but not too glittery, which I really like. I'm just going to pop a little bit of this because I just find that with gloss, my lips just look so much more voluminous. And that's it, guys. That's the final look. My final favorite for makeup is the all-nighter setting spray. I love it. Just makes your makeup last so long, and I don't think I could live without this product. So I'm just going to pop on a little bit. And I'm just going to go pop on some falsies to show you the final look and just tell you about a few more skincare favorites that I had to mention because they've just been a real standout for this year. Okay guys, so this is the final makeup look. I've put on some lashes. I'm going to include some close-ups so you guys can see my eye makeup properly, but I really love this more sort of bronzy, it's more of like a coppery smoky eye, something a little bit more warm than what I usually go for, but I've really been loving this look this year, and honestly those two palettes have been an absolute standout. I just quickly wanted to mention a few other really amazing favorites that I've had this year, kind of for hair products and skincare. I'm just going to quickly go through them because I'm aware this video is super long by now, but I just wanted to do a full roundup of my 2018 favorites. So starting off with skincare, another product for hydration that I've been loving. I mentioned the cream earlier, but the Hydra Life Deep Hydration by Dior. It is an aqua serum, and it's a very intense moisturizer. Basically, it goes on really liquidy. It's like almost like a watery texture. I don't know how well the camera is picking that up, but as you can see, it just sort of blends into the skin in seconds, and it's a serum, so it's quite intense. It doesn't make your skin oily whatsoever. It just gives it loads of hydration, and it quenches your skin, brings all the moisture back, and I find it's really nice because within seconds it's completely kind of absorbed into your skin, and you don't feel like you have a film or anything oily. It's great to use under makeup, but I tend to use it more in the evenings. If you are a person with very dry skin, you might want to use this as a serum and then apply a thick moisturizer over the top, just because this is really thin. But for me, it's kind of enough. When I can't be bothered with oils and I want to do just a quick skincare routine, I always use this. And when I'm traveling, I always apply this before I get on the flight, and I find it leaves my skin really hydrated, and it smells absolutely amazing. I love all the Hydra Life range from Dior, but this one has been a real standout. Also for skincare, I have this product from SkinCeuticals. It's the Advanced Pigment Corrector. Mine is completely empty by now, but this is basically a cream to even out your skin tone. I think there's just a little bit left. I have spoken about this one before. Again, it's a very thin, milky cream. absorbs in seconds into the skin, and I just find that it is really good to even out your skin tone. I had a bit of pigmentation here and around my lip area, and also I am prone to pigmentation because I do get acne breakouts. When the breakouts dry up, I'm usually left with a little bit of pigmentation, and it is a problem with a lot of people who have olive skin tones like me, and this has honestly worked so well. I've never used anything from SkinCeuticals before. This is my first go at anything from them, and it is really pricey, but it's lasted me for, I'd say, a good 7 or 8 months, and you just need the tiniest amount, and I have noticed a really big difference over this time. My skin tone just looks a lot more even everywhere, and whenever I feel like I'm getting a little bit of pigmentation because of a previous breakout, for example, I just find that I apply this, and within a couple of weeks it's sort of gone. So it prevents more pigmentation from coming, and the one that's there has really faded out. So I would highly recommend this one for anyone who suffers with pigmentation issues. Another skincare product, which I think I actually mentioned in my 2017 favorites, but it's still just so high up for me, it's the Clarins Blue Orchid Oil. I've spoken about this one a million times, so I'm not going to ramble on about it too much, but it's a face treatment oil. It's made for specifically dehydrated skin, and I actually have combination skin. It is more dry since I've moved to the US, but typically it was very oily down my T-zone and sort of dry everywhere else. And what I used to use this is just on the areas where I had a lot of like dehydration, which is mostly here for me. I could use it all over and it didn't break me out, but I just found that there were like better oils that were actually for acne, like the UFO oil from Sunday Riley, which I really like. So I just used this one where I actually need it, but honestly it's amazing. I find when I haven't used it for a few days, especially now that my skin is more dehydrated here because of the heating, which is an air blast heating as opposed to underfloor, I find that this area sometimes actually, like the skin is actually peeling off. It just gets that dehydrated, and when I haven't used this for a few days, I really find like it makes a difference. And as soon as I put this on for a couple of nights, my skin is just restored back to normal. I wake up in the morning and it's glowing and it's plump and it's really lovely, but at the same time it doesn't kind of break me out or make me super oily. It has a bit of a weird scent to it. It almost smells like those things that you put on your cupboards so that you don't get moths. So for me, the scent, it doesn't bother me, but I can see how some people wouldn't like it. But honestly, it's so good that's definitely worth it. You just need a couple of drops. So this bottle goes a really long way and it lasts for a very long time. And I just love to apply this in the evening, and I've found that it's the best face treatment oil I have tried so far. You guys also know that I love masks, and I really wanted to mention this one, which I have been loving for a long time. It's the Hydra Phase Intense Mask, and it's a hydrating mask, and I find it's really difficult to find hydrating masks that don't make you oily. Recently, I've discovered the Neutrogena one, the hydrogel one, and I'm absolutely loving that one, but I couldn't include it in this year's favorites because I actually discovered that one really at the end of 2018. I thought it wasn't a fair assessment, but I've been using this one for years and I absolutely love it. It's from Roche-Posay. It's actually a pretty decent price point, and it's a mask that's very thin actually for being a hydrating mask. It is like a thick cream, but it's a thin for a mask. You just apply a kind of thin layer all over your face, and you can leave it on overnight if you're very dehydrated, or for me, I just leave it on for the recommended 10 minutes. I even put it over my lips, and I just find that it just makes my skin so moisturized. It brings all that hydration back. I really struggle to drink a lot of water, so my skin sometimes can feel really dehydrated, and this definitely really helps. But at the same time, it doesn't make me break out or get too oily, which is a real kind of worry a lot of the time for me with hydrating masks. With this one as well, I find that it just kind of, you can use it a few times during the week, and when I've had kind of eczema or rashes because of dehydration or redness, I just find this sort of calms my skin down as well, and it pretty much works for everything. So I would definitely recommend this one if you have sensitive skin like me. Finally, the best thing I've discovered in 2018, which was this Neutrogena pen. I actually discovered this because I think I saw Amelia Liana speaking about it, and honestly it's amazing. Basically it's a light pen. It kind of comes on with this sort of pinkish light. It's like a purplish light. You just pop this over wherever you have a blemish, you leave it on, it automatically switches on after 2 minutes. It automatically switches off after 2 minutes, and you're supposed to use it, I think, 3 times a day. You can use it over makeup, you can use it on clean skin. I prefer using it on clean skin, but you can definitely, you know, do it over makeup, and it's amazing. It just, the red light is supposed to reduce inflammation, and the blue light is supposed to kill bacteria. And whenever I feel like I'm just kind of getting a breakout, I pop this on, and honestly, it just calms it down, and within a couple of days the spot has disappeared. And if it's just kind of at the starting stages, sometimes I find it actually just doesn't even come out to its full extent. So honestly, it is amazing. It's annoying that you can't replace the batteries and you just need to get a new one, but it does last really long. I think mine lasted for about 9 months before I had to get another one. And honestly, it's just so amazing. I have the full face mask as well, and I use that one once a week. But I do find that one is a little bit more of a faff because you have to kind of put it on for 10 minutes every night. And it's just annoying. So I use it once a week just as a kind of intense light therapy treatment. But this one is amazing because it's just so easy. You can pop it in your, you know, vanity case or whatever. So when you're traveling, it's easy to carry around. It's so small and so dinky that it's really nice. And honestly, I thought light therapy was a bit of a myth, but it honestly makes a huge difference. And finally, for hair, I wanted to talk about the L'Oreal Infinium hairspray. My hairstylist in London, Tamim, who cut my hair there, introduced me to this one, and honestly, it is the best hairspray I have tried. I used to use the L'Oreal Elnet, and I had used that one for years. But he told me that because I had really oily hair, that actually made your hair oilier and greasier and just kind of weighed it down a little bit. This one brushes out really easily like the L'Oreal Elnet, but it just doesn't make your hair greasy or oily at all. It has a bit more hold, but at the same time, it doesn't make your hair look or feel stiff. So I absolutely love this one. I could only find it online, and some salons sell it. It's not as easy to get hold of as the Elnet one, but honestly, it is so worth it because it is so good. And I love getting this huge pack, which lasts a really long time. Okay guys, well that was everything from me. I really hope you enjoyed this 2018 favorites video, which was a little bit different, a bit of a tutorial. A lot of you had been requesting for makeup tutorials because I hadn't done one in a while, so I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!